It begins at a frat party. Two friends, Jess and Alice, are playing beer pong, while their friends Frankie and Blair are cheering for them. The girls win, and Alice carries Jess for a victory lap, but her head hits the ceiling and she falls. Frankie and Blair come to her rescue, and they go to their dorm room. They discuss how much they're going to miss each other. Jess talks about her political science program in Australia, and they all hug each other, cherishing the moment. 10 years later, we see Jess's campaign video as she's running for state senate. She thinks the video is great, but her team tells her that 60% of the focus group thinks it's not. She's upset because if her opposition, Wesson, wins, he'll cut all the good programs. Her team tells her that Wesson is more relatable and popular. Then Alice calls her and tells her how excited she is for her bachelorette trip. But some work arises and Jess cuts the call. Jess gets home late to her resting boyfriend, Peter, and she apologizes for being late. Alice calls again, but she ignores it, telling him she's tired of all the planning for the bachelorette, and this trip has popped up at the worst time, since she's so stressed with work, and instead of this, she just wants some calm time with him. But he tells her that she loves her friends and will feel better after spending time with them. Peter drops Jess to the airport for her bachelorette. Alice is already there, pumped, waiting for her. We then see that Frankie is at a protest, but leaves it to come for the bachelorette. Blair is shown talking to her son, who asks her if she really needs to go for the bachelorette. She says she does, but she will miss him. And her ex-husband says he's noting that she's using 20 minutes of his custody time to say goodbye, and will present it at the hearing. She leaves, not before showing him the middle finger. Frankie and Blair meet up at the airport and get talking while they wait for Jess and Alice. Frankie compliments Blair for her look, and we get to know that they were together, and Frankie broke up with Blair. Blair then asks Frankie if she has a job, and she replies that she doesn't. Then Jess and Alice arrive. They all meet and talk about what they have in store for Miami. They get to their villa and go to the neighbor's house to collect the keys. The neighbors, Pietro and Leah, were sunbathing, naked, so the girls turn around saying they'll come back later, but they tell them to come in as they put on some clothes. Then Leah asks them why they are in Miami. Alice says it's for Jess's bachelorette. Pietro then asks if her marriage is open. She tells him that it's closed. He then says that Blair looks like a French friend of theirs. The girls leave. When they enter the villa, Jess tells them that her Australian friend Pippa will be there soon, as they were discussing the bedroom arrangements. Alice says they will figure it out. As Blair pours some wine, Jess asks her to be careful of the white carpet, as a donor generously lent her this house. Alice was talking to the girls, and they suddenly heard Frankie scream, and they run to her. They are shocked to see a sex swing, and the girls tease Jess that she has a freaky donor. The girls head out at night. As they are having dinner, Pippa arrives. Blair asks her what she does. She says she wants to be a singer/songwriter, but for now, she's a party clown. Alice tends to cut Pippa when she's talking, and makes a toast to Jess. Alice tells the girls to pick a club they can go to, and Jess suggests that they have an early night instead. Just then, Frankie returns from the bathroom and tells the girls that the busboy gave her some cocaine. Jess says she won't do cocaine because she's running for office. Alice tells her no one will get to know that she's done drugs at her bachelorette and convinces her to do it. They all do it and go to a club to party. That's where they decide to get Jess a stripper. They then perform their college routine on the club stage, and Alice falls. Jess was supposed to catch her, but doesn't. Then Jess asks her if she wants more cocaine to make her feel better. And they do more cocaine and have a blast. Jess calls Peter and tells him about the trip and how much she loves him. Peter is having a wine-tasting bachelor party with his friends. They then come back to the villa and are chilling outside. Pippa goes to get pizza, and suddenly someone bangs their door. They think it's the stripper and open it. He starts stripping and Jess is enjoying it. He tells Jess that he knows she wants it, and she gets grossed out and pushes him away. And then things get crazy. Alice jumps on him, and he hits his head, falls and starts bleeding. The girls try to YouTube how to do CPR, but then Jess notices he doesn't have a pulse. Everyone is panicking. Alice freaks out, and Frankie gets a joint to calm her down. They debate if they should call the police, and then suddenly the doorbell rings and the pizza guy's at the door. The ladies decide to move the body since the house is made of glass, and the delivery guy could look inside. They move it, and Pippa goes to get the pizza. Alice starts stress eating, and everyone joins in. They decide to call a lawyer since they will definitely be questioned when they call the police. And suddenly, Peter calls Jess. She panics and tells him something bad happened, and that there was a prostitute, and that she doesn't know what to do. Shocked, Peter asks her if she means she doesn't know what to do at the wedding, and if she still wants to get married. But Frankie slams her phone to the ground as she screams no, because they want her to stop talking. Blair collects everyone's phones and says no one's allowed to talk to anyone until they talk to their lawyers. They plan to get a burner phone from the convenience store. Frankie and Blair say they will go, and Pippa realizes they were past lovers. Peter tells his friend that Jess was being weird on call and that there was a prostitute at her bachelorette. His friend tells him that doesn't mean she cheated. Some say if she wants to cheat, this is the best time, since she's in Miami for her bachelorette. Then Peter tells them that he asks her if she even wants to get married, and she screamed no and slammed the phone. So the wedding must be off. Peter then feels sick, and his friends give him wine. Frankie and Blair put on a mud mask and go to buy a burner phone. They ask an old couple for help. At the villa, a dog starts barking at them, and Pippa goes out thinking she can calm the dog since the owner of the dog was behind following it. She takes the dog away but gets bitten. They then try to hide the body but unknowingly take it to the garage as it was dark. Pippa tries to turn on the lights but opens the garage door by mistake, and a taxi heads towards the garage. Blair and Frankie are in the taxi, so they distract the driver, give him the money, and run. The driver leaves and they try to move the body again, but realize the whole house is made of glass and he can be seen from the outside. So they try to think of a place where he won't be seen, and they put him on the sex swing. The ladies then call Blair's uncle, a lawyer, and tell him about their situation. He tells them if they didn't touch the body, no strong case could be built against them. But they tell him they did tamper with the crime scene and move the body to the sex swing. So he tells them they could get 15 years of jail time or more. They ask him for a solution. He says there's no case if there's no body. They discuss the situation and decide to get rid of the body. On the other side, Peter is trying all Jess's friends' numbers, but no one's picking up. Then his friends tell him to get over her since she's probably cheating on him, and ask him to join Tinder. But he says he can't, because he can't just get over her. His friend pushes him to do something about it, so he decides to go to Miami and win her back. The friends look for flights and trains, but one of his friends suggests him to go by road and take loads of adult diapers and energy drinks so he can drive continuously and not have to stop to pee on the way. He and his friend go to get the diapers. The ladies are taking a jet ski and the body to the beach to dispose of it, and Pippa says she'll do it. Just then, the weird neighbors, Pietro and Leah, call on them and turn on their floodlights. The ladies drop the body from the jet ski and line up to hide it. The neighbors come to say hi as they thought they were skinny dipping. Pietro and Leah notice the body, but Pippa is on him, kissing him, and the girls tell him they wanted to make love on international waters, and they are leaving them alone. Pietro tells the ladies that seeing the two like that is turning him on, and Leah asks Blair if she'd like to join them. Blair declines, and they go away. Peter wears the adult diapers and is ready to go. Pippa dumps the body and crash lands while getting back. As the ladies are taking the jet ski back, Alice realizes that the neighbors have security cameras facing them, and they would have footage of them dumping the body. They then decide to somehow delete their footage. They then look towards Blair, who the couple was flirting with, and convince her to go to their house. Leah starts kissing Blair and Pietro. Uncomfortable in this situation, Blair suggests to get this recorded on the security camera outside, as she always wanted to do that. The trio head out. The ladies are watching from the balcony, and Leah goes down on Blair. Peter is on his way to Miami and is calling Jess continuously, but his messages are going to voicemail, and he's losing his shit. After the fun time Blair had, she asks them for a tape from the footage of the security cameras, and Leah tells her they don't work. Blair tells the news to her friends, and they rejoice. The girls get to cleaning the house and make it spick and span. Peter gets pulled over by a cop, who's shocked by the amount of energy drinks and diapers in his car, asks him to step out, and points the gun at him. Alice asks the girls to pose for a photo. The girls go out to take the picture, and as they are checking the picture, they realize that the guy's body is back on shore. They then pull the body from the beach. Peter is asked to walk in a straight line, but he puts on a show for the cop, who lets him go with just a speeding ticket. The girls panic that they're unable to get rid of the body, and suddenly someone's at the door. He says he's the police. Frankie tells everyone to turn off the lights and hide, and she'll get the door. The cop enters and frisks her, but while doing so, grabs her boobs. Shocked, she strikes him, and he faints. The girls come running and asks her why she did it. Frankie tells them that he was trying to take advantage of her, as he knew she did something wrong. The girls try to move him, and as they go to do that, his clothes tear off, and they realize he's a stripper. Jess asks Frankie how many strippers did she order. She said just one, so Jess asks her who's the real stripper. Frankie says she can identify him and that he was the stripper she called for. Then Jess asks who's the guy they killed. As they are tucking the stripper in bed, they realize they can get rid of the body if they only had a car. They check if the stripper had a car and put the body in the car and try to get rid of it. Blair asks Frankie if the car can go faster, and Frankie bangs it, and they push the car and come back to the villa. Peter stops for petrol, but his card gets blocked, so he tries to clean cars to make money. A truck driver offers him some cash for cleaning his car. Peter takes the money. Then the truck driver asks him if he wants to give him a blowjob for money. Peter declines. Then he offers him some meth. Peter declines again. As Peter is counting his money, another man approaches him, asking if he has meth and if he can give Peter a blowjob. So Peter takes money from the guy and goes to take the meth from the truck driver, who makes him snort it to prove he's not a cop. He then gives the man the meth and introduces them to each other. The girls have a huge fight, and Jess decides they should turn themselves in, and goes for a shower. Suddenly, the ladies hear some beeping sound, and they realize someone's tracking the dead guy's phone to their location. Someone's at the door again. This time, it's two guys who say they're cops. Alice confesses and tells the truth, and shows them the body. The cops tell them that he's a dangerous criminal, and they did a good job. Pippa asks them if they were fine, and the officer says they are good, as they probably did it in self-defense. The girls rejoice that they are not going to face any jail time. Frankie goes to tell Jess who's up in her room, but she's not sure if she heard her. Later, the cops are questioning the ladies if the dead guy said anything about some diamonds, but they told him that he didn't mention anything. As they were talking, Pippa glanced at the television that was on the news channel and noticed that the two cops and the dead man are criminals. So she screams about wanting a tampon to get the other girls to look at her and the television behind her. Blair understands her cry for help and pretends to rush to the room to get a tampon. She enters the room with the knocked-out stripper, who wakes up and screams, alerting the men. As the men question the ladies about who screamed, Pippa tries to turn the television off, but instead turns the video up, and the news starts talking about the criminals present with them. The criminals get their guns out and take the girls hostage. One of the criminals goes inside the room to get Blair and the stripper. They demand for their diamonds. Jess reads Alice's emotional letter and hears the commotion outside and comes out of her bathroom. Jess sees the criminals threatening her friends and tries not to be seen. The criminals tie the ladies and the stripper up, and one criminal goes up to search the house. He enters Jess's room as she hides in the bathroom. When he enters the bathroom, Jess sprays him and grabs the gun. She makes him handcuff himself to the sink. The criminal threatens to kill Blair, so Jess jumps on him from above. They fight. The gun goes flying. Alice gets the gun. The criminal reaches for the other gun. Before that, Alice shoots him. Jess knocks him out and throws the gun away from him. Jess apologizes to Alice, but just as things were getting better, the criminal, who was handcuffed, comes down with a gun and threatens to shoot them. Just then, Peter crashes into the villa and sends the criminal flying. He gets out of the car and faints, so Jess runs by his side. He asks her if she still wants to get married, and she says yes, more than ever. Let's do it as soon as possible. And Alice says she knows the perfect place. They get married at the foam party, and Peter's friend hits on Pippa. Alice starts dating the stripper, and Blair and Frankie get back together. Pippa tells Peter's friends that they didn't face any jail time for the murder, and they were let go. A guy from Jess's team calls her, telling her that her story of her and her friends taking on criminals got out, and that they're getting calls for interviews from everywhere, and he asks her to come by as soon as possible. But she tells him she's getting married, and she'll be back on Monday. Thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video, make sure to watch the next one. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Bye!